Let me show you guys something right over there. See that yellow? That's what we're going to talk about today. What do we have here? See these yellow right here? These parts are dying off while the rest of the plant looks pretty okay. Right there we have a little bit of where you can see it's dying, it's getting a little yellow. I think what we have here is a situation where we've got these have cold damage, but these that are dying off are being senesced, which essentially means the plant is sending less and less nutrients to these older leaves to make room for the new growth. Hey everybody, this is Benj, the garden guy, and I'm here to help you all understand and help to diagnose what's going on with your plants if they're turning yellow. Plants kind of talk to us in a sense because you can follow along with the symptoms to discover the actual problem that a plant might be experiencing, whether it's a fruit tree or a large or big tree, or you know, these plants are in your garden, whatever type of plant it is. By diagnosing the symptoms, we can diagnose the actual problem. Today I'm going to give you guys the top 5 reasons that you might see yellowing in a plant. Now this applies to house plants too, so keep your eye out for that. Okay, so first thing is water. Water is an essential part of a plant's health, and whenever the plant does not have enough water or has too much water, those leaves start to die off. And yellow is just the color that happens usually whenever a plant is that leaf is starting to die. When a plant has too much water, it starts to not be able to breathe from the roots. Plants breathe quite a bit from roots. Watch out for immune system going down because your plant has too much water. What I like to do is I like to just grab the soil and feel it. If you feel like that, if you squeeze it, you shouldn't really have any water come out of it. If you do, I mean, I'm talking about after watering. If you squeeze it and the water is like it's waterlogged, that's not good. But also if you feel it and it feels dry, that's also not good either. So get on a good schedule for how you're going to be watering your plants. This is the most common reason that you might get some yellowing, is too much or too little water. Number 2 is light. If you have too much light, that can burn your plants out. But if you don't have enough, also the plants will get long and spindly. You'll end up with plants that are not able to photosynthesize very well, and therefore they're turning yellow. Number 3 is temperature. If it's too hot, then your plants are going to start pretty much getting roasted, and that also brings up the stress level. Anytime a plant is stressed, it starts to send more nutrients to the new growth, but less and less to the older growth. And that means that the older growth is just going to be gone eventually. Some plants do way better in shade. Some plants do way better in more like very sunny areas. So make sure you're planting the correct types of plants or vegetables or trees in the right spots. The third thing is temperature. Make sure that you are monitoring the temperature of the plants that you got out there. Like tropical plants, if they experience too much cold, then they will start senescing and they'll start losing their leaves, and that's just not a good situation. Also, you can have too high of temperatures where plants that are normally used to more cooler temperatures, all of a sudden it gets hot and they're stressed, and therefore their leaves start dying off too. Usually when a plant is like overheated, that means that the leaves turn yellow at first, but then they turn brown. They start to kind of crumble up and turn brown. So keep that in mind. Number 4 is nutrients. Whenever plants do not have quite enough nutrients, what they need, then they're going to start to send more and more of their energy up to the new leaves, and then they're going to cut off those nutrients to the older leaves. So that's just not a good situation, and you got to watch out for nutrients. Too much fertilizer though. Too much fertilizer means they're the same thing. So with all of these different aspects, we have situations where you have too much water or not enough water, too much fertilizer, not enough fertilizer, too much heat, too much light. There has to be a balance with everything. Whenever it comes to the nutrients deficiency, a lot of times you'll see how the leaf will have like chlorosis is what it's called. Will have like greener veins, and then the other parts, more fleshy parts of the stem or the leaves are going to be yellow or off color. That's usually an indication of nutrients, especially a nutrient deficiency. Those veins are going to be the first parts of the plant to get the nutrients, but then the rest, there's just not enough for the rest of the leaf. So it ends up you don't have enough for the rest of the plant. Last category, number 5, is different types of diseases. You'll have fungi, bacteria, you'll have different types of diseases, like some things like cucumber beetles. They'll come in and they'll start eating squash plants, and those squash plants get a bacteria that's spread by the cucumber beetle, which starts making the stem rot. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but a lot of times that will happen to me. Like, I'll have a squash plant that looks beautiful, it looks awesome, but then bacteria starts to make the stem, especially where it touches the ground, it starts to just rot, and then all this beautiful plant dies off. Nematodes can affect your plants, bacteria, fungi, like I said. There's all kinds of things there. So these are the 5 different main categories of what might be causing your plant to be yellow, but the main ones, especially for house plants, is going to be water and nutrients. A lot of times if a pot has been neglected or it has not been refreshed with new potting soil, then of course you're going to get yellowing because those leaves of the plant don't have enough nutrients. Also, over fertilizing, watch out for that. In the case of my plants here, I have some yellowing with these kale plants, and I think what it is all these leaves are the ones from earlier this fall, and they're pretty much older. They're more like done. They're not doing too much for the plant, and the plant knows that, so it's starting to senesce or cut off nutrients to them to give new and renewed energy to the newer leaves. So one thing you can do, even for houseplants, is if a leaf is really dying, you can tell it's dying, I like to go back in and either cut it or snap it off near the base and just go ahead and save that plant a step of not having to put more nutrients into the older dead branches. So give it a chance to send all the nutrients that it wants or has up to the new growth. So go ahead and snip those off, and I'll be putting these in the compost bin, leave them in there for a while, cover them up, and that means that if it is a disease problem, then bringing them into my compost bin, the one that I keep away from the garden for at least a year, that will mean that those potential pests or problem of disease or bacteria, that means I'm taking it away from the garden. Yeah, see, these are just done. It's not disease, that's just older leaves that are not really helping the plant, and the plant knows it, so it's starting to take those off. Let's go ahead and cover these up, and then we'll be good. Go. That's all it takes. Okay, awesome. There you go. Those are the 5 main reasons that plants have yellowed leaves. Let's see if we can go over them again. We have water, too much or not enough. We have light, too much or not enough. We have temperature, too much or not enough. We have nutrients, too much or not enough. And then last but not least, we have disease, which even a little bit we don't want. So disease is not so fun. There you go, folks. Good times, good times. See you next time on the Gardenguy channel, where we get to discover more and more about how to use our available space and steward it towards abundance. Catch you next time.